Let's bring in Florida Congressman and Army veteran Michael Waltz. Congressman, good morning to you. We're hearing that this is the largest ground incursion into the Gaza Strip since this war began. So what stands out to you about this news that we are waking up to this morning?
Well, Carly, I think you're going to continue to see these limited incursions, whether that's taking out terrorist headquarters and command and control, rocket sites, rocket manufacturing sites, or trying to rescue hostages when they are, finding information and they believe it's safe enough to try to rescue. But clearly, what is standing out to me is the administration and the president is pressing Israel to slow roll this invasion. I believe it's for a few reasons from folks that I'm talking to. Number one, they want more aid. The administration wants more aid into Gaza to prevent a massive humanitarian crisis. Remember, there are Americans, 500 to 600 estimated Americans still in Gaza, Palestinian Americans that apparently Hamas is not allowing to leave. And then finally, the hostages. And this is such a confounding, difficult problem for the IDF to deal with. At the end of the day, I believe they're just going to have to go in and get out as many as they can, because Hamas has clearly taken a strategy of trickling out just a few to buy time.
Yeah, there is also reporting that Israel agreed to delay this ground invasion because the United States needs time to rush in missile defense systems to the region. There was a time not too long ago where we did have a larger military presence in the Middle East. So should we be in a position where we need to rush these defense systems in?
Well, remember, we had the administration talking about the pivot to Asia to deal with the growing threat of the Chinese Communist Party, and we shifted assets out. We had Jake Sullivan saying just a few weeks ago the Middle East was perfectly calm and quiet. He even wrote a large treatise on how quiet it was that he's now had to retract. My frustration in watching us rush these systems in and ask the Israelis to slow down until we do is if we had maximum pressure on Iran, if we had starved Iran of the funds, as we were doing in the last administration, we could probably still leave those assets in the Pacific because Iran wouldn't have the money to have given to its proxies all of these weapons and training, which we're also finding out Iran has trained several hundred elite Palestinians, according to the Wall Street Journal. At the end of the day, I think we are having to get things back in there to help them deal with this. But we wouldn't have had to if we had the right Iran policy.
And Congressman, now that they do have the money, it feels like we're playing a game of chess with an enemy that is more than willing to plunge us into World War III. So how does Israel beat Hamas without this becoming a larger war?
Sometimes with a bully, and in this case with Iran, you have to punch him in the nose. That's what we did with Soleimani, and deterrence was restored. But we continue to hear from Blinken, from the president and others, darn it, we'll defend ourselves vigorously, and if necessary, we'll take action. Well, after 30 wounded soldiers and nearly 90 attacks on our bases in the last 2 years, when does this administration find it necessary to punch the bully in the nose? Because that's the only thing it's respond to. It's going to get away with these attacks as long as it can, and it's going to arm and fund and train its proxies as long as we let them get away with it.
Yeah, you mentioned those service members who have already been injured by drone and rocket attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. And now we're learning that U.S.-led forces began live fire exercise in Iraq and Syria after American military bases were attacked. The Joint Task Force is saying coalition service members will be conducting ground operational exercises in or near the Al-Hasaka region in Syria to validate weapons systems and maintain crew proficiency and readiness. What does that mean?
Well, it means that we are posturing forces around. We're conducting exercises. We're shooting munitions at ranges. look, you can have the toughest, meanest looking military in the region that the world's ever seen, but if your adversary doesn't believe you have the political will to actually use it against them, as I just said, to punch the bully in the nose sometimes to get them to back down, then I think it's essentially going to be a show, and it's essentially going to be symbolic.
Yeah, it sounds like your message this morning is peace through strength. Congressman Waltz, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.